holy everything that is holy. I mean, the Holy Trinity, the Holy Camole, or the Holy Guacamole for all I care. It is 94 degrees of just sun, burning, filtering heat blazing down on me. I mean, it is just so hot out here. It's not even beer weather, it's Gatorade weather. Can you believe that I said that? Like, it's actually so hot that beer would just dehydrate me a lot more than anything else. So it's just going to be the Gatorades from here on out for the rest of today, at least. Today is May 23rd. Now, I only bring that up because May 23rd of 2020, excuse me, I got a pruner poking me in the voodoo. May 23rd of 2020, last year, it was 21 degrees out, and it killed almost, I think it was around 57 tomato plants, not to mention other things that I had already planted in my yard. But boy, was that devastating. So people keep on asking me, when is the best time to plant? When is the best time to plant? Hey, when's the best time to plant? Really depends on where you live, what your climate's like, what growing zone you're in, what your frost dates are. Right now, I have been bamboozled 2 years in a row. So a lot of it has to just come down to your intuition, your timing, your thought process, reading the weather. So again, why are we here? I'm going to show you, we're here to do my carrots. I would have rather have had them planted back in around March, but c'est la vie, you know, you can do what you can do when you can do it. I have my carrots here now, and they're probably going to do fine. They may, they're going to germinate really well in this warm weather, especially with the method that I use, and I'll show you that a little bit later on. Cooler weather is really going to sweeten these carrots up really nice. They're going to get ready to go dormant because carrots are perennial or biannual, and they will come up again the next year. They will not grow more carrots, but they will give you seed the next year. So I'm doing this experiment here. I've added straw, easy straw, to this bed. I'm not going to explain easy straw. I have videos on it already. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to separate some of this straw behind me and create some rows so I can put these carrots down. Now, last year I did high intensity, but I did like ultra high intensity. I sprinkled a lot of seeds. I'm still going to do high intensity where I sprinkle quite a bit of seeds, but just not as much as I did last year. So let me get that done, and then once I do that, I'll bring you back in and show you what I'm going to do after that. All right, so before we move on to the next step of this process, I want to apologize. I didn't realize that I just completely brushed over the fact that, yes, I had recommended this bed. Before I laid all the straw down, I did take a pitchfork and go down 12 to 18 inches and till up the soil. Now, carrots is one of the only beds that I will till up like that in order to give them the freest room to grow without stress, without roots, without rocks, in order to grow the straightest. It's a cosmetic thing. It's not really a who cares what they taste like thing, because they're going to taste great regardless, but it does produce less stress on the carrot, so it is a good thing to do. I also weeded it completely. I raked it up, and then I threw, I believe on this plot right here, around I think it was about 30 gallons of a mixture of the mushroom compost that I have from last year, some bought bags of commercial organic raised garden bed mix, some perlite and vermiculite, about 2.5 gallons of each. I believe it was cow manure in this plot over here, well aged. So the only thing I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to make another one of my mixtures. I'm going to lay that soil down in these furrows, and when it comes time to planting the seeds, I'll show you what I'm going to do now. So before I move any further than what you're going to see here, I want to take my watering spigot and I want to just hose this area down. Carrots are a moisture hungry plant, and they do deserve at least a couple inches every week. But the second most important reason is I want to get this area soaked down as much as possible. Carrot seeds are very, very, very minuscule. You'll see when I go to plant them, they are microscopic. So by adding water to the ground first, you're going to get them to stick where you want them to grow. If you watered afterwards, there's a good chance that you're going to get a flood. And it's not going to look, it's just going to look like running water to you. It's not going to look like a flood. But to the carrots, it's going to look like a flood. And all the seeds are going to bury themselves down into the bottom of your garden, wherever the lowest point is. And that's where you're going to get all your carrots. And you're going to end up with a bunch that didn't grow or grew really bad. So let's just get ahead to spraying down this garden. So we're back. New day, new clothes, new haircut, new sunglasses. The one thing that did come out of the last year was I learned how to cut my own hair. Not too bad, right? Not too shabby. Don't judge me. But anyway, so it is a new day because the last day that I was shooting video out here, the sun was so hot. My camera could not take the heat. It started flashing warnings and cautions, cool it down, put it in the shade. It already was in the shade. So here we are. It's 2 days later, and I'm here to finish this video with you. And before we go any further, I know a lot of people are going to want to know what type of carrots I planted, and I'm going to go through them all right now. And I know there is a lot, but what you have to remember is probably half of these packets were from last year. Germination rates are going to be slightly lower, and there was barely any seed left in most of them, maybe 10 or 20 or something. I had a very few brand new packs of carrots here. So what I did spread was actually kind of sparse compared to what I would normally do, even though you see a ton of packets. Now, carrots is one of those vegetables I do not mind mixing, unless their harvest date is like really drastically far away. I went through these, and most of them were around the 60 to 70 day mark, 75 days, 65 days, 70 days, 60 days, 60 days. So that's fine. So I can wait the 75 days, go like an extra 10 days and pull them all up at once. Or I could harvest them all early and just expect the ones that were supposed to be harvested at 75 days are going to be a little bit smaller. No big deal. So now, how did I plant these? Oh, wait, before I say that, all right, so let's go through these. I have rainbow carrot, of course, rainbow carrot. I have the Denver 126, great producer for me. Yellow carrot, good producer, not very big. Purple carrot, another good producer, very small carrots. They tasted exactly like carrots, they're just a different color. All right, so I had quite a few of the little finger carrots, and I loved them last year. They were nice, they were thin but long. I was able to roast them up in a pan with some butter and some garlic, and just serve them on a plate like that. They were marvelous. The Atomic Red, another rainbow mix. The Imperator was a great carrot that grew very large last year. I would say on average 8 to 10 inches. Very nice, straight, strong carrot. Great for soups, stocks, stuff like that. Another Imperator 58 and another Denver's 126. So what I did was, I put the furrows down, I dug it down a little bit, I hilled it up a little bit in the middle. I re-amended this with some more soil of my mix that I made, which is mushroom compost, cow manure, vermiculite, perlite, and some gardening mix. I threw that down so it was nice, light, and fluffy. And then I just broadcasted the seeds out. So I guess where we left off with this episode, I was soaking the ground down before I actually planted the seeds, and I explained why I was going to do it because I didn't want the seeds to wash away as I was watering it. So I watered it down really good, and then I just broadcast my seed out in these rows. Not necessarily willy-nilly. I just tried to make sure there was no like big spots with a lot of seeds and then some bare spots. So I did sprinkle it out nice and evenly. I would estimate I probably put down between all those packs about 1,000 seeds. That doesn't mean I'm going to get 1,000 carrots, but we'll see. Now, when you're planting carrots, you have to understand The looser your soil, the finer your soil, the better, or I won't even say better, but the straighter your carrots are going to grow. Regardless if they have roots or rocks or anything that they have to go around, and then you end up with some funny looking alien carrots, they're going to taste great. And if you're using them for your salad, what do you really care? If you were selling them at a farmer's market or a boutique or to restaurants, it would be super important to make sure that your ground soil is as loose as possible and moist, but not without being soaked. So now, as you can see, I have these planks down, and it was very fortuitous that my wife decided that I have to replace the kitchen floor before the end of spring. So she went ahead and tore up this old kitchen floor that we had and gave it to me to cover my carrots, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I covered my carrots right here, and then I just took these boards and I placed it on top. That is going to serve a lot of different reasons. I can't explain them all, but all I know is I was not successful at growing carrots. I was not as successful of growing carrots until I started this method of covering them. Now, you don't have to use boards. You can use 2x4s. You could use cardboard. You could use newspaper. But the only thing with newspaper is I would not take it off. I would just let it sit and decompose and let the seedlings come through the newspaper. If you try to pull up the newspaper, a lot of times the plants or the seedlings or even the seeds themselves just stick to the newspaper, and then you defeat the purpose. So I put these boards down. Now, A, they're going to offer shade, darkness. Seeds want darkness to germinate. B, they're going to keep moisture in. C, when I water this ground, which I'm going to do almost every day, maybe a little bit every other day, but I do not want seeds to get moist and then dry out. So when I do water, I'm not going to be blasting the seeds. One, I'm going to water between the rows. But two, if I do happen to hit right on top of the row, it's going to be protected by these boards. Now you see me sitting here and I'm going like this and I'm stepping on it, right? Whenever you sow seeds in the ground, you want to press them into the ground. You want maximum closure of soil on seed. That's going to help it germinate the best. If there's air gaps and there's this and there's that, there's a lot of chance that the seedling is just going to die off. So I am doing this right now, but listen, I'm only doing this for right now to make sure. And I only did it one time, and I only did it another time to show you guys. But now this also offers of don't step in this area when it comes to taking care of or weeding or anything else. I know I could stand here or stand here. It's not a good idea to do that, because when I do stand here, I am going to compress the soil down, which may make it harder for the carrots to grow right. So the other benefit of covering it up like this, okay, besides helping along with germination and watering, you're going to protect from pests, squirrels, birds, and any other seed-loving animal. I mean, I can't see a carrot seed laying on the ground. I barely see one in my hand. But those birds have sharp eyes, and they know exactly where they are, and they will literally pick not only the seeds out, but once it starts germinating and you get the little seedlings, they will pick them out as well. And that's when you get in trouble from squirrels and rabbits and bigger animals that just love the tender sweetness, just like we all do. Microgreens are awesome, so are carrot microgreens, and the rabbits and the squirrels love it. So I have this down. It's covering the seeds enough to block pests and animals from getting at it. I'm giving it right now the best chance that I have. Let me stick my, the soil is actually a little dry, so I am going to take my hose and I'm just going to come around and I'm going to try to just give it a good watering in between. Now this is 2 days later. It is about time to give these some water as they're germinating. I want to make sure that it's not soaked, but it is definitely moist. So here I have my hose and my hand setting, and I'm just going to spray it up in the air at first because I want to see, because I water each plant a little differently, so like the pressure and the settings I changed continually. So right here, this is all I want. I want a nice, gentle, I could go even maybe a little higher. But you see how hard it is to avoid actually watering around the seedlings, not necessarily on the seedlings. You can't help but to sprinkle water in there. So now these boards are going to help that out. And this is going to take a little time. I will probably sit here and do this for, I don't know, until I get bored, maybe 10 minutes. Now, until I see that the soil is stopping to just suck up the water as fast as possible. Once I start to see it puddle up just a little bit, and I am going to concentrate a little bit more at this near side over here by me, because my bed or my ground level actually does slope down a little bit. So if there is going to be any water going downhill, it's going to feed that side. So that was also why I didn't want to water while the seeds were down, because it would have just all washed them right down to the fence. That's a little better. That's a little nicer. This board's starting to stick up a little bit. I don't like it, so I have a 2x4. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that on top of this. It's like starting to bow. See that? Maybe that 2x4 will help it stay down on top of the seeds. I want it actually on top of the seeds, not an inch or a half an inch off the seeds. I think that'll do good after I water it. Should soften up, probably go down. So that is it for this video. I'm just going to continue to water these down for a couple more minutes. I am going to leave you with a couple pictures of my harvest from last year, which might not be that exciting to a lot of people, but for a small backyard gardener like I am, I was just amazed. And I got to tell you, the carrot is not my favorite vegetable. I enjoy it raw, but when it's cooked, I'm becoming more of a fan. I'm learning to cook it in ways that I enjoy it. You know, if I have to sweeten it up a little bit and throw in some maple syrup or some cinnamon or some nutmeg or something like that, that's what I got to do to eat it. And I actually enjoy it that way. I mix it with some sweet potatoes. It's amazing. But it was never one of my most favorite vegetables. But now that I'm learning to grow it and I'm starting to have a small glut for me and my family of carrots, I'm enjoying them a lot more. And when it comes time, 60, 70, 75 days to harvest these, I will bring you back in my kitchen, even though there is a whole video about that, link in the description, of me cooking these carrots. But I will bring you in and I will show you new recipes. I will show you how they are going to be cooked. But the only way that you're going to see that video is if you decide to subscribe right now. Hit that little button. Hit that like button if you enjoy this content. And you know what? If you want to get a notification every time I put out a new video, hit that notification bell, ring a ding ding. Remember, I might be late in the season, but you do what you can do when you can do it. And that's all I can say about that. I love you. Please have a peaceful and enjoyable evening.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting strong.
I already called not helping.
Not helping?
No. I call ignoring you.
I've been all